Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the We Bought a Franchise podcast. Jill and I are doing something a little different today. We are live at a client, some of our great clients, Dan and Cori Anikstein. Hi, guys. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having us.
So we're actually live in their office, which is a first for us.
Normally, we're out of our little podcast studio.
I know.
I love it.
Normally when I see it, it's a side-by-side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this is different.
It's very exciting. So we thought this would be exciting because obviously you guys are neighbors and you're now friends. But back in 2023, you guys had just had sort of a career life change. Mm-hmm. Had you just moved to South Florida at that point?
No, we moved to South Florida in 2020.
Okay, so
COVID changed everything, obviously. And Cori was working in digital advertising in the city, and I owned an insurance brokerage for the last X amount of years. And we sold that business, and then DirecTV was downsizing, and that's when we were looking for something else to do. What we said we were going to take some time off, right?
We did not take any time off.
3 months off. And then Cori actually came across Jill's article in Modern Boca Mom. And that's how we met you guys.
It's such a cool story.
Yeah.
So Jill was interviewed as a Boca influencer? Was that a top Boca influencer?
Boca Mom, yeah. And,
Momfluencer.
Michelle Olsen Rogers. So she has a column in Boca magazine, and so she picks 3 people every year. And her and I had, we were friends. She knew what we were doing with Franchise Insiders, and I woke up one morning to a text from her that just said, surprise, and I had no idea what she was talking about. And I opened up my Instagram and I had all of these likes and new followers, and I had no idea what happened. And it turned out she did a feature on me as the franchise mom. So it was very cool. Right. It was unexpected. Thank you, Michelle. Yeah. But it was great because she kind of talked about an industry that not a lot of people know about. And so it really gained a lot of traction, especially locally, and brought us to you guys.
And you were in it too, right?
I was in it, actually. Yeah, I was in it a couple months ago. Yeah. So full circle. But it was a perfect time. I followed Michelle, and we were at a turning point in our lives, career-wise, and I just have never heard of a franchise consultant, and it was the perfect thing for us. You guys helped us figure out what we wanted to do and where we wanted to put our efforts, combined with our industry skills. So
how many franchises did we look at, Jack? A lot, right?
We looked at 50.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you want to do, right?
Yeah.
So we took you guys through our process. You guys took our psychological profiles. Yep. So we build a model on where you guys who also taken it compared to other successful franchise owners. Obviously, we also want the human part too, right? So much of this is becoming AI and technology, but it's also hearing you guys and hearing what you want to accomplish and what you like. And so, yeah, you're right. We started with a wide net. And then I think we started to focus in on maybe about 3 or 4 franchises.
Yeah. That's right.
But we were all over the place. We were in restaurants.
Yeah, we looked at everything from a restaurant to retail, to fitness, to
athletics,
poopers, dog,
the poop,
dog,
dog
pooping, and then of course Gatsby.
Yeah.
And what's so interesting is you guys it came down to Gatsby and Soccer Stars, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And even at one point, we considered you guys doing both.
Correct.
But when we really waited.
We didn't do that.
Right. And I think we identified rightly that let's start with one. And by the way, I mean, this is something that comes up pretty much every day with us where someone says, I think I should do 2 businesses because it's like shopping. Like you want both, and it's like, right. Maybe start with one and let's come back to it 6 months later. Yep. Because it's Jill and I know we operate 2 businesses. Yes. It's a lot.
It is a lot.
Having one's enough.
Always start with one and see where you're at.
Right.
You never know.
We also didn't know the time we needed for this. We didn't know the skill set. We had 2 little kids at home. It would have been, Dan would have done one, I would have done one. But I think this business worked so well because we were doing it together.
Yes, 100%.
His skills, my skills, really together is what makes it successful.
Yes.
Can you guys tell us a little bit about Gatsby, and then you can ultimately tell us why you chose it?
Yeah, so Gatsby's a full-service interior residential and commercial glass company. We do everything from showers to wine cellars to glass railings to window replacements to exterior railings. Anything you can think of in the glass business is something that we can handle. For example, we've done something as simple as a shower panel, which all the way to something now where we're using a boom lift and changing out windows for Town Center Mall. Wow. So we're all over the map, and our team comes with the expertise to handle it. And basically, Gatsby, from a branding level, has really helped us get involved in the community. I mean, we've done a lot of the foot traffic as well. But I mean, our direct competitor, Florida State Glass, is right down the road. Mm-hmm. And we have already, even in our infancy, he's been here for X amount of years, have come up against each other. And we're not going to take every job, but we've been competitive because our branding is so great. Yeah. And our local specialized office, supports that brand.
You guys were like the brand champions for Gatsby of the
last year.
What was your award that you won?
Yeah. Brand champion. We were 2024 brand champion in our first year in business.
Amazing.
Yeah. So the community involvement, the social media, the influencer campaigns. We've done a few so far. Mm-hmm. And just the social media presence. I think the amount of followers we had on Instagram and Facebook just really surpassed every other Gatsby franchise.
Well, you guys have done an amazing job. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I know more about glass and projects than anyone, and it's all from social media. Yeah. I mean, obviously we know you guys, but just seeing your stories and everything that you post, and it's amazing because, like you said, it's not just shower panels.
No,
there's so many different things. It's amazing.
And it's allowed us that online presence and influence has really been the driving force behind the majority of our relationships that have been the driving force behind our business growth. Mm-hmm. So all of our designers have come from that. All of our contractors have come from that. So while the brand as a whole does support paid leads, we don't really focus we're in the bottom half as far as statistics on paid leads, but we're number 2 in organic leads in the entire system. Amazing. And that's what's driven our success.
That's great.
Yeah, word of mouth is really helpful, and people want to do business with people that they've used already, especially in this market. Mm-hmm. Our Google reviews are outstanding. Mm-hmm. We get a ton of clients that we've closed deals on because of our Google reviews.
Mm-hmm. I looked. You guys have about 75-star reviews.
5-star.
5-star.
So I look whenever we do a catch-up call with a client.
Yeah.
When a client reaches out, they're 6 months, 12 months, 6 years in. First thing Jill and I do, we go look up their Google reviews. Yeah. And we know, based upon how many they have and the quality, what kind of conversation we're going to have.
Sure.
Yeah.
If someone's contacting us, they're 18 months in and they have 2 Google reviews.
We know.
We know what kind of conversation
we know what's coming up.
I'll say that we have a client who 2 years into his business got a 7-figure offer for his business. He already had 200 5-star Google reviews. Wow. That tells the story.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think it's, all of this, you guys, I mean, you look at how far you've come, you look at this business, being out there, being involved in the business, that's so crucial. And I think there's a lot of franchise owners out there that have this idea that, hey, I'm going to buy a business and I'll hire a GM and it's just going to run.
Not this one.
And that's
not any of that.
No. And if you remember when we spoke before we bought this, you said to me maybe 5 or 6 times, be involved, be part of everything with the brand, talk, ignore the bottom people that are talking, go to the top people that are talking. And that we've done that. And that's contributing to the success 100%.
And look, I was talking to someone as we're expanding Franchise Insiders and talking to potential franchise consultants. I said part of the hardest thing in this business is not every one of our clients is going to succeed.
Right. 100%.
And to talk to someone that isn't successful, now you hope you can help them sell their business or what have you, but it stings and it hurts.
Yeah.
But one of the things that will kill your business as a franchise owner is talking to underperformers.
The negative.
Because they will try and call you.
Yeah.
They have.
They're going to want to bitch and complain.
Yeah.
They have.
And your mind needs to be on revenue generating activities.
We are focused on the day-to-day of this business.
Yeah.
And we're focused on how we can get better every single day. We have failures every day. We have successes every day.
Yeah.
But if we learn, and what I say to Cori all the time, and I say to the guys all the time is, I don't care if you fail to a certain extent.
Right.
But learn.
Learn, move on.
If you don't learn, then we have a problem.
Yeah.
Right. If you're making the same mistake constantly.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, it's interesting that you brought up doing a boom lift for a job.
Yep.
We do those too. We don't have one. We rent them.
We do as well. Yeah.
So our GM the other day, we have a commercial job that we're working, and he's like, I've got to get a boom lift for it, but it's great. We're going to do this, this, and that. But when we analyze it, I'm like, remember, you have to take into account our hours. You have to take into account all this. So yes, while getting a $5,000-$6,000 job is exciting
Right.
if we're just breaking even on
Right,
it, and
it's
it's
not
a
worth
commercial job that's going to take a month to pay us.
Right.
It's not worth it to take
You
it.
really have to look at the
Yeah.
whole job and everything involved, and so you can get excited by like the brand names or the commercial or something like that, but in the end, it's what's going to make business.
So
What's going to generate that income.
He did something. I'm sorry to
That's
jump in on
fine.
you, but he did something very smart. He then went to the client and said, "Listen, the owner came back to me and said we can't do this job because this boom lift's going to kill any profit." He's like, "You show me the line item, and I'll pay for it." So, again, it's these little things that we learn.
Yeah.
And before we started the podcast, the four of us were talking about the lessons we've learned working with blue collar workers versus, working in white collar industries in the past. And these are things that we're learning.
100%.
We bought a franchise. We did our research, looked at all the options, then we found Pink's Windows down in Austin. We bought a franchise. We bought a franchise.
And I think the first year, even now, we're still learning.
Yeah.
Every day we're learning things, whether it be about a glass railing, whether it be about permit, whether it be, mistake we made. We're always learning. And I think that's what's going to make us more successful is the experience in the job.
Yeah, we filed 2 permits for jobs. I mean, I've dealt with permits in my previous career, but never with actually filing them and dealing with the counties and doing all that stuff. So everything is an experience, and everything pushes us further and further to the ultimate goal of what we want to do, which is succeed.
Right.
Whatever your definition of succession is.
Yeah. Agreed. And I think having conversations too, even just talking to you guys, we face a lot of similar issues. And so finding out how you guys resolved a problem versus what we've done, that also just really helps. So whether you're on a franchise call with your, fellow franchisees or just anyone local or friends, it's so good to hear, and also good to hear that you're not alone.
No.
Seriously, no, even just before
We're
we
all
started,
going through it.
we're all going through the same problems, challenges. And I think you and I spoke maybe like a year or so ago, how challenges working together with your husband. It's a big deal. It's a big change in our relationship. It's a home dynamic versus work dynamic. How to stop work at work and bring home stuff.
Do you do that? Because we don't.
I don't do that.
No,
We don't
it's
know
not. No. But it's easier. It's nice to think about.
Yes.
But I think just he has his own. Dan has his own role. I have my own role, and it's trying to keep that separate so that we don't cross each other.
Yeah, Cori is really great. And one of the things that she said earlier about doing 2 different businesses, why it wouldn't have worked. Cori's great with clients. I'm good with clients when there's a problem.
Okay.
I'm not forward facing.
Yeah.
I'm much better dealing with the guys, dealing with operations, dealing with finances, all that type of stuff. Organization, right. Cori's great as a frontline contact to these clients. And some of them are great, like any business, some of them can be really difficult. So, and we value every relationship that we have with every client, and Cori's voice comes through as caring and nurturing, and she's able to calm these clients down. And then if there's a problem, then it will come to me for, a resolution.
Right.
Conversation.
And finding that balance is really important. It's taken us a while to find ours too, but then once you find it, you know how to work with each other. It really does change. And we've been working together for a long time. Even when we had separate jobs, we were still working in the same room together.
States, right.
So we've been doing this for a long time, but it takes a while to kind of settle into. And I remember when we started, even Franchise Insiders, we were talking about, okay, you'll do this and you'll do this. Kind of changes, it's not exactly that, but you find where
You find your groove.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like our whole dynamic is so commingled. It's like simple things like people ask, "Hey, which car is yours?" I'm like, "No,
Sure.
they're just there, and you just take the one you want to take." Like we don't look at it that way. But I think that's I grew up watching my parents work together.
Mine too.
And so they brought it home.
Mine too.
And I didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
What did your parents do?
They own they still do actually. They own a small business, kids coloring activity. Right. Yeah.
Very cool.
So they worked together for how many years? For like 35 years.
Oh my God, they've been together for almost 60.
And then
They're still together.
Yeah.
I
And they're
love
still
it.
married.
Okay.
Yes.
Because the business is good for you.
Yeah.
gives
made it
you
work.
purpose.
And I've been doing entrepreneurship since 2006. This is Cori's first foray into the non-corporate world. And I don't care if you own a franchise or you own a newsstand. If you own it for yourself, it's different.
It's different.
Well, and you've already built a business and had a successful exit.
Correct.
Yeah.
And as I recall, a highly successful exit.
Yes.
Which is wonderful. And it's like, as we talk about these businesses and the conversations we have, it's like when people ask, why did we buy 5 units of Pinks? We sort of had the end in mind, right? I was thinking about what would be most interesting to private equity, right? What would be most interesting to the kind of buyer I want to attract? And I know I want to own Palm Beach County, and I know I need the business to eventually make $1 million a year. No one promised me that. No one said I'm going to do that, but that's what our goal is.
Right.
And we feel like that gives us more options. So we kind of started with the end goal in mind, rather than hey, I just need to get to profitability in 3 seconds, which as franchise consultants, we have to coach people out of a lot.
Well, the most successful people start with the 10-year goal in mind and work backwards, right?
Right.
It's not about what's going to happen in 1 month. How do you get to the 10 years and what do you need to do every single day to get to that, that mark?
Right.
Is how you do it.
But I also think having you had your own business helps me. Like there are times when, money, it's hard. I don't have a salary like I used to. So Dan helps walk me off a cliff when the salary's not there. So it's very different, but the end goal in mind, it's head down, keep going to get there. But it's different.
As we sit here in April of year 2, because I really don't even count September to December of 23. I really don't. We had no idea what we were doing. Our help had no idea what they were doing. We in earnest started this business in January of 24. And here we sit in April of 25. We are profitable, which is
awesome.
Huge step up. And I don't care if you're profitable by $5,000, $5. Look at what it is. And take it for what it's worth. Something is working to get to that profitability. And we are there now, knock on wood.
So we were just having the conversation before we started the podcast, which was, and it's an important question that every home services franchise owner faces, which is, okay, we're at this scale point. When do we add the second van? And we were having the conversation, which is an advantage of business ownership, is the company leases to own that. For most of you out there who are starting new franchises, we've seen the SBA recommend that people just write a check for the truck and pay in full. And most people, I'm like, why on earth would you ever take $50,000 to $100,000 out of your working capital and sink it into a depreciating?
Never.
No.
Don't do it.
Never.
No.
So, and if you lease to own, you can capture the Section 179. So now you guys have this profitable business, you go get the next van. And next year you capture the whole $27,000.
Correct.
If you want.
Correct. Or you could space it out.
Exactly.
Whatever you want to do.
So there are huge advantages as business owners that we have in making these decisions and timing them out.
100%.
And congrats on hitting profitability.
Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you.
Feels good.
Now it's about continuing to build this team. The team in this industry, the team is ever evolving. From a skill set standpoint, from a time standpoint, from an operational standpoint, we have 3 guys on staff now. But we are always looking. We are always looking at resumes. We are always looking at replacement. We are always looking at
backfill.
Can we bring somebody on better that can do a better job? Does this person complement this other person? We're also rounding out the office staff now. We're going to bring somebody in to help us, but bring somebody in with experience.
But also managing the costs as well. Making sure that our ROI is, that we're still profitable. Because every time you add someone's salary, yes, they're skilled, but are they going to make us go back, back in the red? So
you need their value to
exactly. Can we make more sales with the new office person? Is this third installer, second truck going to be really much more profitable? So that's where we also have to delve in, and I think we're doing a good job. Slowly, we're walking, jogging there, much quicker than we ever anticipated.
Oh yeah, and I used to have a client in the insurance business. He was a lawyer. He was an attorney. But was big in the art world and so on, had multiple houses, whatever. And we always used to sit there and he would be spending and spending and spending. And now he actually works down here in Miami for Sotheby's. He sells luxury real estate. And he always used to say to me, spend above and work your ass off to get there.
Yes.
Is what he always used to say.
Yes.
It's hard to do.
Right,
but,
right.
But
I mean,
you know, if you look at the most wealthy people spending it right, if you look at the most wealthy people, that's the way they operate.
You can't save your way to the top.
No.
And the world is too expensive now it's gotten insane how expensive it is to do everything. I have a question for you guys. Commercial versus residential, what is that split for you percentage-wise at this point?
70-30 residential.
Okay.
So we're headed in the commercial direction. A lot of the other markets in Gatsby went commercial first. Some of them succeeded, some of them did not. We felt for us, and it was just a personal based decision, that we wanted to work and get our cadence from an operational standpoint in residential, know what we're doing.
Yeah.
I wanted to learn how to price. I wanted to learn parts. I wanted to learn calculations and weighted glass, everything I could possibly learn, so that when Cori comes to me at 9 o'clock at night and says, hey, I need this price, I don't have to wait till the next day for James to get in. We can get this price, we can get it done. We know how to get a shower door in and out, a slider in and out. Commercial, you're dealing with OSHA, you're dealing with boom lifts, you're dealing with protective equipment, you're dealing with a much different scale. And even as we enter into commercial, we're not entering in where, hey, we're going to take an entire Toyota dealership over.
Right.
We're changing out windows. We're going small.
Yeah.
We feel that it's better to navigate, God forbid something goes wrong, on a smaller opportunity where we can correct it a lot faster and keep our reputation alive.
But the sales cycle and the payment terms from commercial clients are much longer. So we had to fill our bank, for example, with a lot of jobs to fill up before we can close the deal, before we can get them again.
They sound great,
Right.
They sound like you
but net
want
30,
them.
net 60,
Exactly.
that's going to be forever.
Exactly.
If you want to take on commercial jobs, you better have at least $50K sitting in your business bank
Exactly.
account.
1,000%.
Right.
And that's the part of it. Like Jill was saying, they sound great, and like we started to get all these commercial accounts, but it's like, oh wow, that's going to be a little bit of a game there. And so we learned, okay, hold on, we got to space it out. We got to put residential jobs in the middle.
100%.
But again, it's important to understand those terms and to
Yeah.
understand that you're going to be carrying the load with payroll.
We'll cut tabletops here for $250
Yeah.
because it only costs us $13 to make the tabletop.
Yeah.
So you got to look at everything. You
Right.
can't just look at the overall value of a ticket.
Right.
We stock all of our own mirrors, all of our own glass, so we can cut everything in shop, get it out to a client really quickly. It gets a good reputation. It opens it up for more business with that client, and it's a profitability a monster.
Yeah.
So we do everything from the $200 tabletop to the $50,000 account.
Yeah.
So let's put put what the business does aside. You guys are home services franchise owners.
Yes.
You've I think succeeded in a relatively short period of time. What separates you from other home services franchise owners that maybe haven't been as successful as fast? What have you guys done that you think has helped you be more successful?
we outside of work our tail off, we because that you have to do no matter what you own. We leaned in. Once we made the commitment to go for it, we committed.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the people don't commit.
Yeah.
I also think that GM position is more of a bottleneck position than an actual help. I think people will lean on that position a bit too much, where they think that person's going to run your business for you. If that position wasn't provided to you in the scale from the franchise, would you ever let somebody else run your business for you? I think the answer is no.
Yeah.
So we went full force, and I think also the biggest thing also is we're the face to the clients.
Right.
The clients know who they're speaking to.
Yes.
They know that they're going to come to us if there's a problem, and I think that's really helped.
Yeah.
And the passion they see, the caring. We give advice. Unfortunately, sometimes we don't always win the business,
Correct.
but at least we're giving advice that we feel they need.
Yes.
It's an industry where there's a lot of people that are doing the exact same thing. But if we can show that we care and we're going to, help educate them, I think it goes a long way.
Reputation over revenue
Yeah.
is the best way to sum
I
that
agree
up.
with that.
Yeah. I mean, franchise owners make the franchise special.
Yeah.
It's like you can put someone in a Ferrari, but they still have to drive it.
Correct.
Exactly.
So it comes down to us. And I think you've uncovered something that's really important. You can't put it all in a GM.
No.
Most GMs are not making, $1 million salaries.
It's not their business either.
Right.
They don't own it.
Right.
Right.
They can go to another company next week.
Right. And
we
they
have to
will.
help them.
They will.
They will.
They will.
They will.
They will.
So you have to do things, and I think both of us have done things to help our GMs feel like they have some ownership in the company.
Yep.
And look, all these things, all these businesses are assets to us, right? We want it to grow. It leads to other places. Like, this is part of it too, that we say to people is the franchisor should ultimately help you become a better business owner.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everyone wants to be the next, you know, big successful entrepreneur. And sometimes people are like, should I own a franchise or should I go buy a mom and pop?
Mm-hmm.
And our contention has always been start with the franchise, learn all these
learn
lessons
business.
from them.
Yes.
Like, we were at dinner with a friend of ours who they are franchisors, but before he was a franchisor, he was a franchise owner. And he was the most successful franchise owner at a really well-known franchise. Then he identified something in a similar space. He bought it, franchised it, and now, you know, he's grown it into a massive
Amazing.
company.
That's great.
That's fabulous.
But it's because of the lessons he learned.
Yeah,
right.
So that's, I think, all of us in our quest to you know, want to be the next whatever. Sometimes it's just step by step.
Yeah.
And we've actually rebranded that GM role internally.
Yeah.
We don't even call it GM anymore because I don't think you're setting up that person for success. We now call it Director of Operations is what we
cool.
use that term.
I mean, that makes sense.
And that's what he focuses on. It's
Yeah.
helped him narrow down
Yes.
that he's ahead of the operations. His team reports to him. He's responsible for the warehouse. He's responsible for on-site activity, and anything technical goes through him. So
Yeah.
we felt that that's helped.
Yeah.
And as I just think that's a lot to put on somebody
It is.
that is not experienced in business.
And no one's perfect, so you're going to get someone in that role that's very good at certain things and not others. So
Right.
if you modify the role for them,
Correct.
that's going to help
Yeah.
everyone succeed.
Right.
They can't do everything.
Right.
When we first started, you know, the GM was going to have the GM roles, but also sales, and that's a lot
That's a
to
lot.
put on someone. So you know, you have to look at, okay, actually, is this person better at sales or operations, and how can you help them in the area that maybe isn't
That
as
suits
strong.
them.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that it's to not have to stick to that. I think the franchisors are great with giving you the blueprint and here's the
Yeah.
direction, but to have some flexibility, I think that's when people really stand out is to, you know, say this isn't working for us here specifically. I always talk about this, but you know, for us with Pink's, the seasonality, right? The summer is awful for us, whereas most people's summer is great,
Right.
But for us, it's not. So we need a little bit of flexibility around that time, and we really had to kind of change, and they weren't predicting that either. So it's also us giving them that feedback
Sure.
and saying, by
Sure.
the way,
Right.
there are some places where, you know, summer
market.
is your down, you know, your down market. So
That-
and that helps them.
That happened with us. We got, you know, the franchise sent us all our apparel and conference stuff. And they gave us, well, they were suggesting we needed a certain amount of sweatshirts and a certain
Right.
amount of long sleeve stuff.
South
And
Florida.
I said, no, there's no way my
It's
installers are
crazy.
wearing
Right.
sweatshirts.
Right.
Twice a year.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So we help them evolve also. But back to the franchise versus owning your own company, I think the franchise gives you the blueprint to succeed.
Yep.
But it's up to us as business owners to make it succeed.
Yeah.
They helped us, they got us collateral, they helped us with marketing, social media, anything to start the business. But then we had to take it and grow it and put our blood, sweat, and tears into
And
it.
you guys do help them too. I mean, that's the
I was
other
gonna
thing
say.
is it's really important to know that being a good franchisee and being successful is going to help them also
Exactly.
understand and, you know, give you guys the role
Right.
of,
The
you know,
franchisor
brand
was
ambassador.
learning as they go along as well.
Right.
I mean, we were the first market for Gatsby Glass in Florida.
Yeah,
They had no idea that we needed a contractor's license to operate.
right.
So once we went through that process, which of course was painful for us, we gave back the information to the franchisor, which helped Tampa open, Miami
Yes.
open, West Palm open. The more you give to them, the more they're going to be able to give to other people, which makes the brand more successful, which helps
Right.
the location.
Absolutely.
Today we had, right before we met with you guys, we had our weekly Pink's sales call. Cori Sanchez came on today. I mean, that's a huge freaking
Yeah.
deal. And she came on and she said, you guys are hearing a lot of market noise right now. Don't pay attention to that. That's not going to affect your business. And she's right. It's not affecting. I mean, we've got already this morning three new leads.
Right.
People are going to wash their windows.
Right.
They're going to improve their homes.
Yep.
It has nothing to do with this trade war that's going
Yep.
on.
No.
And she was like, look, you know, you guys need to, let's focus on our wins. And to have her come down from all the things she's doing, that's, I mean,
exciting.
we're in business for ourselves, but not by ourselves.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
That.
So at this mark in the podcast, I always like to ask, what advice would you guys offer to someone out there? And there's a lot of people who listen and watch this podcast who are saying, should I do this? Should I not do this? What advice do you guys have for a new franchise owner?
Well, the first advice is work with somebody like you guys
Yeah.
that's experienced in this industry.
Oh,
Because
God.
you can't
That's
just
the perfect answer.
Well, no, seriously, because if you walk in blind,
Done.
I would think that would be a
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
Agreed.
That's number one. Number two, patience. You gotta
Yeah.
have patience. If you're looking to become ramped up in the first 5 months, that's just not gonna happen.
Right.
Right.
You need to be patient. You need to be
You're gonna fail. a few
you're gonna
times.
fail.
Yeah.
You need to be involved. You need to be intertwined with your team. I think the more present you are, the more successful you're going to be.
Yeah.
That would be my best advice.
Yeah.
That's my best advice.
Grow thick skin.
Yeah. We're here every day.
Yeah.
8 to 6 sometimes. Weekends, but that's just the way that I always run my companies,
Yeah.
always. And that's just the level of passion that we have. But
Yeah.
if you can't do that, you need to be as involved as you possibly can.
And be passionate. I think if you're passionate about something, it'll shine through. You're selling something, but you're selling something that you care about, and I think people will see that as well.
Look, you guys have your shirts on. I mean,
I
this is
know.
Of course.
Always.
we've been we're adding to our team, to the franchise insiders, and we're adding other franchise owners who want to become franchise consultants. A couple of people have asked us this question, which we've kind of been taken aback with, which is, how many hours a week do you think I'll need? And I'm like,
It's
As many as it takes.
Yeah.
no,
Right.
I don't know. I mean,
It's not our favorite answer.
Right.
how it should be. What is it going to take? How can I
Right.
help? I mean, it's just, we've never looked at it that way, but somehow we've been able to manage business, personal. You can do it all, and when you work for yourself, you probably do work harder and you probably do work more.
Yep.
But you probably have more freedom and control than you ever did in
100%.
America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have not worked for some corporation since 2004.
Yeah.
There is no way
No way.
No,
I
you
would
can't go
ever
back.
go back
Yeah.
to working for somebody
No.
else.
You can't.
No
It's
way.
the freedom, right?
No.
You're working hard, but it's a different kind of working hard.
Yeah.
I pick the kids up at 4:00.
Mhm.
I can either take a call from the car or I can get back online after I put them to bed.
Yep.
It's a different kind of freedom.
And you want to. It's
I
different.
want
You
to.
want
Exactly.
to. You're working for yourself.
Right.
You know what you put into it, you're going to get out
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
So it's so different when you're in the corporate world and you're just doing it for somebody
Yeah.
else.
Yep.
And it's
who
more
doesn't
rewarding,
care.
right? Like you feel
So
it. Like we
rewarding.
made a sale this morning on that antique mirror wine room.
Mhm.
It felt so good.
Right.
It
Love
felt
that.
great. I'm like, damn, make the contract. Like, hurry up, let's get this. It's
Yeah.
exciting.
And you're so much more motivated to get that contract out fast
Yeah.
when it's something that
Right.
really benefits
Right.
you and you see the work you put into
Yeah.
it.
And I would say also for other prospective owners, leverage the industry.
Yeah.
Go around, talk to as many people that are willing to talk to you.
Yep.
We're very lucky in this industry. My uncle's been in this industry for 50 years. So we're very lucky that we were able in the early days to bounce
That helped
things
a
off of
lot.
him,
Mm-hmm.
to
Wow.
get our
Yeah.
contract set up the proper way. We're
Vendor
using his
relationships.
contract. His contract's been around for 30 years.
Wow.
So you're talking
Small,
about
yeah.
every experience that this business went through
Mhm.
has been put in this contract, which helps us,
His
succeed.
knowledge, yeah.
But anything you can do to leverage your intelligence before you open, because a lot of these franchisors, at least our experience, phase 1 and phase 2 are great, but you got to get out there.
Yeah.
We had competitors come to our house, give us pricing.
Yeah.
You got to do market research. You got to
Yeah.
invest in your business and invest in yourself.
There's always going to be competition, and I think again the advantage of these brands that we have, Gatsby Glass, Pink's Windows, we're going to have the stronger brand than Chuck and the Truck.
Yep.
But we still have to go out there and execute. So that's what we get on day one: is we get these brands, and we now have to go execute.
And yeah, and you have like you said, it's the relationships too. We had a neighbor across the street ask us to quote power washing, and he is a wonderful lady that does it for peanuts, you know.
Right.
And we said,
Right.
you know what, if she's doing that, please do that.
Right,
Keep
right,
her.
right.
That's a great deal.
Right.
But if you're going to work with us, it's not going to be that price,
And-
but you're going to get a different level of service from our team.
We always go through this because, we're not the cheapest, we're not
Right.
the most expensive, but I'm like, I want to win the deal. We can't be and Dan always says we can't be the cheapest because we're not. We have the
Right.
service, we have the quality,
Right.
and we can't be the cheapest.
No.
So if you're going to be on price, then we're not going to always win it.
Yeah.
But we're going to give you the best quality, the best install there is.
As long
so.
as they know that value and you have
Exactly.
a relationship, they will
Exactly.
ultimately come to you
Right.
when, this person
Right.
realizes that.
And going back to the
do
brand
that.
for a second, we've had a bunch of installers come through here.
Yeah.
The franchisor, to their credit, did that truck that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Every installer has said, wow, this is the greatest truck I've ever
Yeah.
seen.
wow, I love
Every
it.
installer.
Yeah.
You got an inside rack, you got the outside, you got this, you got that. It's the greatest truck. So we show up on day one. That's the benefit of a franchise.
Yeah.
Right.
That would have taken us 3 years
Right.
to get to a truck like that.
Exactly.
And who knows, if you're driving around as Chuck in a truck, you may not make it that far.
No.
Right.
So here's the keys on day one. Now it's up to you to drive it to the right place.
Yes.
Our franchise, they did the van like yours for
Mhm.
us. The things like insurance, like we had that through them, like all the things, like even naming our DBA, like that all that stuff. And I've said, franchise insiders, every possible mistake you can make, figuring out a whole business ourselves, I've made it.
Got it.
Done.
Jill didn't make any mistakes.
Right. Always.
But I made every single mistake. But also, that's as a franchise consultant, it's how I can help guide clients now. Because I'm like, we
You've
won
done that.
yesterday. And I'm like, do yourself a favor. Hire a good accountant from day
Yeah.
one.
Oh, yeah.
Don't mess around. Don't try and do the taxes.
I always say,
Lawyer.
never
Have a
skip
great
on lawyers and accountants.
Yes.
Ever.
Yes.
Ever. I've been using the same
Exactly.
accountant since 2002.
Yeah.
And he's
And
done
the
every company, he's done every buyout, he's
Yes.
done everything.
And a franchise lawyer as well.
And a franchise
Yeah.
lawyer,
100%.
which we still use.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you?
You gave me Matt.
He's awesome.
He's the best.
Thank God.
Oh,
for
so
him.
we use him.
And one thing I'll say about Matt, anytime I even have a question,
Yeah.
he'll answer it, does not even charge.
He's the best.
He just answers it.
He's
a great
great.
guy.
He's
a great
so
guy.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's a
we
great
should
guy.
actually have him on the podcast one day.
He's a really good guy.
You guys, I think you have said it all.
Yeah. We didn't know what we were going to say. This was,
I'm never at a loss for
I
words.
know.
But I think this is really cool. It's so neat to be local with clients. I'm so happy that you guys are already profitable. It's exciting. Go get your second van.
Yes.
But I think it's neat to sit here at the table and see what you guys have done. And just for anyone out there who also would like to consider this, text us 305-710-0050. We'd be happy to provide a free franchise consultation. And for this episode, I'm Jack.
I'm Jill.
I'm Cori.
I'm Daniel.
Good to have you guys. Thanks for
Thanks
joining
Thanks for
us
having
today.
us.
so much.
It's fun.
Take care.
Thank you.
We bought a franchise. We did our research, looked at all the options, then we found Pink's Windows down in Austin. Now we got a truck and a team, and we're gonna make this whole town clean. We bought a franchise. We bought a franchise.